Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'm bringing you today's video. Just had a few things I wanted to go over real fast. First, our usual shout out of appreciation to all of our patrons out there. We appreciate all those tips and support, and hope you guys are enjoying the videos that we put out for you guys exclusively every single week, including the How to Deal Craps instructional set that is ongoing. And if you're curious about it, go ahead and check the description of the video down below. And also, I wanted to go over, we've had a couple of questions about the this little neon light thing that we've been putting on some of our other videos. So if anybody's interested in one of these, just shoot us an email at sincityliving.lv@gmail.com. And so I did another test of our live stream, another attempt to do the live stream. So I now know that I have the right equipment, the right camera, the right programming, able to get all of that done. Unfortunately, what I did discover is that my computer was not strong enough, was not powerful enough to be able to encode and upload it as an actual live stream. So I'm going to continue tweaking with that, although it may turn out that I'm just going to have to wait until I can afford to buy a newer, more powerful computer for that. So that will be on the list. So it does look like live streaming may not be as upcoming as I was hoping. It's going to take us a little bit of time to generate that up. And otherwise, please make sure you email us with any questions, strategies, anything you would like us to video. We love shooting these videos for you guys. If not, I'm going to go straight into today's video. So for today's video, I want to talk about what is the best strategy for you, or what is the best strategy when you go play craps. Now, this answer has three different parts. It's based on three different questions, and you can really only have the answer to one question in your strategy. If you are trying to mix and match, you just end up with a lesser strategy that doesn't really fulfill the requirements fully of either one, which unfortunately is what you end up getting with a lot of these super complex strategies. As we've talked about before, it's really only 4 basic strategies in craps. Then everything else is just a modification, a variation, or a blend. And a lot of times these super complex, bet this, hedge it with this, lay this, have this, regress this, bet this one, and then hop this. All they're trying to do is just fulfill different requirements, and what they end up with is a hodgepodge that doesn't really help with anything. So we'll just go down the list. So for the first question, for the first requirement, should you choose to play this way, would be for playing the longest. Play the longest amount of time. And the thing is, if you set up a strategy where you just want to play for as long as possible, then you have to sacrifice the other factors that may go into why some people would play craps. For instance, just as an example, if you're looking to play for the longest period of time, you're not going to be playing with a power press strategy. That's just not going to work. You're looking to risk too much every single roll without pulling anything back, because you're targeting the exceptional roll. You're hoping you hit the not even fantastic roll, but the beyond fantastic, the once a night or once every other day roll. You're hoping that occurs on the table you're at while you are at it. So you won't be able to play for a long time unless you catch that particular roll. So if you want to play for a long time, what kind of strategies would you be looking for? Well, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can look at, one, the least amount of money on the table, in which case all you would want to do is you would just want to do a pass line bet, and that's it. And I've actually seen people do this, just a pass line bet. Maybe they do some odds, maybe not. And what they'll do is they'll use that bet if they manage to hit a decent roll. And what I mean by that is, let's say you do a pass line bet and then the 8 comes out, and you choose to do just a simple 1 unit odds. You've got a $10 pass line bet, you do $10 in odds, right? And you roll, or the person that's rolling rolls a couple of times, hits a few numbers that you've passed up on because you don't want to invest any more money in the roll, and then boom, a winner. Winner hits. Cool. So you've got your winner, boom. So now what the player will do is the next roll that comes out, let's say it's a 5. They will set up their $10, and now they've got the original $10 that they had for their odds. Basically, if they keep with the $20 they have invested, they now have $22 to play with. So now maybe they place a couple of points. And now from here, should something hit, they either collect or press one unit or start expanding it out. But they'll use that first win in order to continue going for it with any one particular shooter. So that's one option. You just play a very, very simplistic pass line bet. Maybe you throw in some odds. Another option might be that you do, say, the marching soldier strategy. You just basically, to play for a long time on your bankroll, you decide that you want to have a very minimal amount invested per shooter and hope that you're able to use that amount in order to expand yourself up. Another option, especially if you're not the shooter, instead of your $20 in action down there on your pass line and your odds, you just do $24 in action and you just place the 6 and 8. The 6 and 8 are great ones to place because that covers a third of the non-losing rolls of the dice. There's 36 combinations of the dice, 6 of them are 7s. So of the remaining 30 that don't cause you to lose and cause the roll to end, right here within the 6 and 8, you have 10 of those 30 combinations of the dice. So you have a 1 in 3 chance of one of these hitting if the roll doesn't cause the hand to end. So 1/3 of the non-losing numbers. So these two are very, very popular numbers to play because you can use these also, again, to expand yourself out. You're $22 invested, or $24 invested into the roll, and then you slowly expand things out. Maybe you collect, then you use it to place the 9. Then you collect, then you use it to place the 4. Then you collect, then you use it to place the 10. Now you've got everything, and now you can either do a mid-press, you can continue with your collect once, and then now instead of expanding, maybe you press out. So this kind of strategy would also be ideal for someone that's looking to play for a long time, especially if you just same bet. If you just same bet once or twice, collect them up, you're going to see enough of these that your $24 invested per shooter, if you bought in for, say, $300, you could probably play for hours and hours and hours with this particular strategy because you don't have a whole lot invested in it, but you are still investing in numbers that have a good chance of hitting. I personally prefer this over pass line bet with odds simply because you get more numbers. You get more options. More options to win and more options to expand it out, especially as the roll is continuing. When you do the pass line bet with odds, it's fantastic when it hits, when you get paid, especially the point is 4 or 10, you can get paid really well. You can definitely get paid better on the pass line bet with odds. But let's say the player rolls the dice 8 times before hitting their point. You missed out on 8 chances to win some money or expand out your bets. I like placing the 6 and 8 because it gives me that option to expand out while the roll is still ongoing. We've certainly seen plenty of times where a player has rolled for 5 minutes without hitting their point. And it's funny because when that happens, half the table and the dealers are going, hey, that was a great roll, that was a fantastic roll, good job. And then the other half of the players that only had a pass line bet are grumbling and moaning, that roll sucked, I didn't make anything on that roll, and so on and so forth. So definitely a perception thing there. So if you're looking to play for a long period of time, you want to look for the smaller buy-ins or the smaller amount of money invested per shooter. So you want to look for that kind of strategy. Small amount of money invested per shooter that is going to give you the most opportunities to hit and to get paid. And then it's up to you what you want to do with that get paid. Again, you can same bet and just continuously same bet. I've seen people just do a 6 and 8 and just keep collecting and never press or never expand out from there. They can play for a long period of time. Those kind of players pretty much never win huge amounts of money, but they can continue playing and they can play for a long, long, long period of time. As far as the second possibility, the second criteria that you could use for examining what sort of strategy you want would be the trying to break even as quickly as possible. And what I mean by that is, this is where most regression strategies come into play. They're trying to get to the quote-unquote using the casino's money. That's a bunch of BS, of course. You're using your money. Once you have won money, it is not the casino's money anymore, not until you give it back. These regression strategies and then saying, oh, I'm playing with the house money. No, you're not, because you could take that money to the cage, cash it out, have cash in your pocket, go home and spend it on your wife or husband, because you always spend your money on your husband. So the whole playing with house money, it's a bunch of BS. But that is a big factor in some people's strategies, is trying to recoup their investment into the individual shooter. Now, this may sound like it's similar to the trying to play for as long as possible strategy, but oftentimes with these sorts of strategies, you actually have a much higher investment initially into the individual shooter. So it doesn't hit that same category. And the thing is, with these three main questions to ask yourself, you could basically pick one, like I said. So in this case, you're looking for some way of breaking even as fast as possible. Now, with the previous one, with the play for a long period of time, you notice that I avoided things like, say, the do-we-don't strategy and stuff like that, because any strategy where you're basically just trying to tread water is also pointless. If you just want to tread water, just don't play. So I avoided any strategies where you just have competing bets. So in this case, if you're looking to break even as quickly as possible, in this strategy, this idea, you have multiple, again, different strategies you can do. The first and most obvious one would be your regression strategies. And in this case, you might start out with a 160 across and then regress it down. Now understand, I'm not going to hit every single strategy with this video. For instance, on the previous one, there's definitely some combat strategies, such as a 1 or 2 point molly system that would fit for the play for a long period of time as well. Just offering just a couple of ideas, just things to get your minds working. So with the regression strategy, you're looking to try and, within 1 or 2 rolls, make enough money that you would be able to bet every single number, or bet whatever you wish to bet, which means you have to start off with a higher amount. If you're on a $10 minimum bet table, at the very least, you're going to need $64 for a cross, or $54 if you want to avoid the point itself. If you only wanted to do the inside, then you're looking at needing $44 or $34. If you're on a $15 minimum bet table, now you need $96 in order to play all the way across. So you need to figure out a strategy that's going to make you that $96 within the first couple of hits. So it would actually be higher than this. We're looking at this as a $10 table, so we would look for a strategy that can make at least half of your $64 in one hit. So we're looking at 160 across, because each one of these, at the worst case scenario, these are going to pay you $35. So 2 hits, worst case scenario, you made $70. So now you take your bets down, you go to 64 across, and you bank a $6 profit, or maybe you do C&E or a horn bet or something along those lines, just for fun. So that's where regression strategies come into play. Regression strategies have the idea that they are trying to break even as quickly as possible and get their money back, get their investment off the table, at least as far as what they've invested from their initial bankroll. And so when it comes to things like breaking even as quickly as possible, generally, regression strategies are going to be your best bet. You do have some other options as well, however. You could, of course, do a direct lay. You could do a direct lay, especially on the come-out roll. Direct lays on come-out rolls are very, very popular, because if you do, say, a $100 no 10 on the come-out roll, and you get a winner 7, people win over there, you win $50. 48 technically, minus the vig. But at that point, now you've got a significant portion of your across bet, so you're good to go right there. This is also the type of mentality that gets you to things such as the 6 and 8 elevate, where you have a $60 investment instead of your $160 investment. And then as soon as something hits, you throw in that dollar and you go to 96 across. So now you have every single number for a $61 investment. You've got 96 across, which is actually 3 units across. So you could also, instead of doing it that way, you could take your 6 and 8, take your hit right there, collect $30. You're only in $30 on the roll, but you have enough to give yourself 64 across. Right? Doesn't quite break you even yet, but just one hit of one of your numbers could theoretically even happen on the very first roll after the point is set. The problem with only bending those two numbers is it also might not happen on the very first roll. I've seen a roll go 12, 4, 4, 11, 4, 9, 3. So it can certainly happen, but this way has you now at 96 across, and you're actually only invested $30 into the shooter. So the next hit that occurs, regardless of what it may be, you can simply same bet it, or the next two hits you same bet, and now you're basically even. You're basically even, but you have 64 across and that you can play with. Or maybe you go into a press one unit type of strategy here. And that's the press one unit strategy fits really well into the break even as quickly as you can. Or if you just want to break even within a semi-reasonable amount of time, that's where you get into the press one unit type strategies or mid-press strategies. Mid-press strategies are going to require a somewhat more patient method. You don't actually break even until you're starting to hit a decent roll, four or five rolls of the dice, and at least one number that's repeated at least once. But the press one unit or the mid-press method do allow you to take advantage of the excellent rolls. And with that, we go into the third question. The third question is you want to win the most money. So you can either play for the longest amount of time, break even as quickly as possible. Now that sounds like it should also be play for the longest amount of time, but it's actually not, because the strategies that are designed to break even as quickly as possible also have a high probability or decent probability of losing a great deal of money out the gate very, very fast initially, and then you have to claw your way back. So it doesn't quite meet the same criteria. And then the final criteria is you want to win the most amount of money. If you're trying to play for as long as possible, then if you catch a 30-minute, 40-minute, 50-minute roll, you are not going to make anywhere close to as much money as someone that's a lot more aggressive. If you are trying to break even on your investment per shooter relatively quickly, within 2 to 4 rolls of the dice, then if you catch that 30, 40-minute roll, you're going to make significantly more money than the player that is just trying to play for a long period of time, but you're also going to make way less money than the aggressive player that is trying to just make a ton of money. So if you're just trying to make a ton of money, at that point you have a number of different ways you can look at it. You can look at it as you have a massive bankroll and you're just going for it, such as those players that pull out a marker, a multi-thousand or multi-$100,000 marker, and then immediately place or put every number with max odds or place every number at table max. So then they're just collecting the maximum amount that they can be paid every single roll of the dice. I personally hate that, and it's not a strategy. That is just buying a lottery ticket. There's no strategy involved in that, and I don't like it because it's not fun. To me, the fun of the game is catching the roll, building up your bets, cheering and rooting for certain numbers to roll multiple times. If a number's rolled 4 times and it's been pressed up higher than all the rest, I'm definitely rooting for that number to roll more than any other number. That's the excitement of the game for me. Just putting every single number table max with max odds and then just stand there collecting is not exciting for me in any way, shape, or form. So that, of course, would be an option. Just put a ton of money out on the table and then same bet everything. But then other options, better options as far as actually trying to play the game, you're looking at power press options. Do your 64 across or 96 across if you're on a $15 table. Or 160 across, you're on a $25 table, and then power pressing, throwing in a couple extra bucks when things hit, depending on what presses you're going for. Power press will definitely make you the most amount of money if you catch the awesome roll, the 30, 40-minute roll. That's going to make you many, many, many thousands of dollars. Or if you catch the statistically unlikely roll where one number repeats way more than it should, and those happen. Those definitely happen every single night. So power press will make you the most amount of money, but it's also likely to lead to the shortest amount of time on the table. Mid-press method is also an excellent method because it does increase your bets, and it increases your bets at a fairly rapid rate. And at a certain point, you can shift to a power press method. So you go across, and then you do your mid presses as you're collecting a little bit while pressing up a little bit, and then at a certain point you've collected up say 5-10 shooters worth of investments, and you just start going for it. At that point you just start press and things hit. You're still, when you just do straight presses, you're still collecting a little bit of money, but you're doubling your bets. And you can even possibly shift to power press. I've certainly seen people that have done a mid press system and have made $500 or $600. They're 25-30 minutes into the roll, and they look at a bet and they just throw in $200 and say, press this particular one up to X dollar amount. So the mid press method is also an excellent choice as far as winning the most amount of money. The thing is, if you're trying to win the most money, you just have to avoid taking your bets down. Don't make your bets smaller. Doesn't matter what press method you use. As we've shown in one of our previous videos as well, the pressing one unit is a highly underrated strategy. It kind of bridges in between trying to break even relatively quickly and trying to make a strong amount of money, a decent amount of money. The 20-minute roll or so, even pressing one unit tends to be superior than a lot of other strategies. It's not until you get to 30, 40, 50 minutes on a roll that pressing one unit really falls behind everybody else. But there's a point where you can shift your strategy as well. So pressing one unit, in fact, I usually recommend pressing one unit until you get to the green. Then once you get to the green, then start mid-pressing or something along those lines. So the key to trying to win as much money as possible if you catch that exception roll is to never make your bets smaller. That defeats the purpose. Don't make your bets smaller. Try not to miss any beats. Try not to miss any rolls. Which is why you'll notice there's a lot of players out there that they have this theory that they will never say same bet. Even if they want to collect, they just go from power pressing to mid pressing or press one unit. But they're always going to put a portion of their winnings back into the bet to increase their bet. So it increases the payout the next time around. And that is because they are actually trying to win decent amounts of money if they happen to catch a great roll. A lot of other strategies, your regression strategies, your play a long time strategies, they're not based on trying to win tons of money. So what happens when you get 30, 40 minutes into this roll is they're about 20 minutes behind everybody else. Or not everybody else, but behind the aggressive players. And so then you've got the one player that's made $15,000, and then you've got the next player that's made $4,000, and then the next player after that's made $300. I see that all the time on the table. So again, when you play, you have to ask yourself 3 different questions. What is it you are trying to do? And once you answer which of those 3 questions, or I'm sorry, not 3 questions. Ask yourself a question, what is it you're trying to do, with 3 different potential answers. And once you have the answer, then devise your strategy. Remember, no strategy is one size fits all. And if you only have one strategy and one strategy only that you were playing, it means there's only really one type of goal that you have in mind, which is certainly fine. But keep in mind, there's multiple ways to play this game that can all be a ton of fun. So I hope you guys find this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will catch you next time. Bye now. So, as I promised, I wanted to go over very briefly our upcoming attempts at a third test live stream. So what's happened so far? The first test live stream just flat didn't work. The problem that I had was was an equipment problem. I had an equipment problem in that the equipment that I was using to translate the camera into streamable video to the computer required a better USB port than the computer I was using at the time. So that one just flat failed because it would not translate into the computer. The computer would not pick it up, would not read it, so I wasn't able to live stream it. So then, as I was looking through, because I'm a little bit of a tech head, as I was looking through all of my other stuff, because I do have 4 laptops here and 3 computers, I did find one that actually did have the newer style USB port. Unfortunately, it was actually my oldest laptop, but I figured, what the heck, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And this time around, when I fired everything up, the video was actually translating onto the computer, so things were looking better. But then when I attempted to live stream, the computer was not powerful enough to be able to translate it and then upload it sufficiently. So it basically just uploaded a blank screen for the live stream. So what I am going to have to do is, and I'm already looking into all of my options, I'm going to upgrade my computer so I can add, a 7th, 8th computer to my household. And I'm going to go much, much higher, and I'm going to get a computer that is far more than I need for this, far, far, far more powerful than I need for this. That way, any future upgrades that I may do, the computer will be able to handle it. So unfortunately, this computer is going to cost me about 25% more, about 25% of what I've already laid out in all the equipment for this channel. So it wasn't something I could just instantly buy. I'm probably looking at Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So hopefully I have it within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do another test live stream and see if I can go from there. So I will definitely do at least one weekly live stream on our Patreon because they're the ones that are really helping us get this computer and the other equipment that I'm going to get, because I figure if I'm buying the computer, I might as well buy the most high-end capture cards and things along those lines, get everything as good as possible, and then hopefully eventually get a better microphone for you guys. So yeah, that's where we stand on the live stream. As soon as I have the computer and I do the test, which will be in a few weeks, like I said, I've got to order it in a week or two, then I have to wait for it to ship. Plus we have probably the biggest event of the year coming up, the NFR, National Finals Rodeo. So I'm basically working 2 weeks straight, as is my wife. So not going to have a whole lot of time. But once we get all that under control, then we'll figure out. There's been some schedule changes to myself, some schedule changes to my wife, and some upcoming schedule changes to my wife as well. So hopefully we can get all the scheduling figured out so I know when I'll be able to live stream as well. My initial plan of Thursdays at 6 o'clock is already out the window. I'm at work at that point now. So we will get it all figured out, and we will let you guys know, I promise. And otherwise, I hope you guys have found this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.